Hey, what's up, nerds? It's been a little while, so I wanted to do just kind of a hobby vlog update. Say hi to everybody. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I just haven't really been doing anything on YouTube recently. Um, I have still been hobbying like crazy, though. I've recently picked up Skaven, started building a Skaven army, and that is taking up a tremendous amount of time. And I did not anticipate wanting to get into Skaven, mainly because they're a horde army, right? And painting horde armies sucks, and moving horde armies around on the table can really suck. But I was really lured in by what the army can do. It has lots of movement shenanigans. It has powerful magic, great artifacts, good balance of uh, different unit types. You know, you've got some good monsters, you've got some good infantry, you've got good shooting, good melee. The big thing is a lot of good mobility. And I think mobility is one of the big keys right now that really makes armies very good. Um, One of the things that I thought was really interesting, if you watched the interview that Rob Symes, the Honest Wargamer, did with the winner of Adepticon, the thing that he was talking about, and I apologize, I'm forgetting his name, that won, but he was playing with Seraphon, which everybody was really surprised that a Seraphon army would win. But the interesting thing that he kept talking about was that his skinks were like the all-stars, and he was using them to retreat out of combat onto objectives and to do things with them that were a little bit unorthodox, or maybe not unorthodox. Maybe it's just playing the army well. He wasn't really ever talking about the killing power of anything. It was all about getting to where he needed to be on the board when he needed to be there. And I thought that was really interesting. And I think Skaven are going to be really dominant in the metagame for very similar reasons. Gnawholes, Skitterleap, their run bonuses, their ability to, do the skink retreat in combat with all of your heroes, which includes all of your monsters. And the retreat and charge on your clan rats and your storm vermin. And then you've got some other powerful stuff to back that up. Like, you're not just mobile. Your guys are basically always immune to battle shock, so your opponent has to chew through a lot of wounds. Skaven just have a lot going for them, and I really like the play style. And it's interesting. I didn't expect at all to want to be playing them. But they're really fun for modeling and painting. A lot of really interesting models. The infantry are a tough slog. I've got 20 storm vermin and 20 clan rats done. I've got another 60 clan rats to go. Another 40 plague monks that I have not even touched yet. So it's going to be a while. And just the way that I'm doing the basing scheme on all of these, it's going to be a while before I can even really get this on the table. So I'm going to be continuing to play Nergle for a while, and I've really been continuing to pay attention to what's going on with Nergle and experimenting with new and different things. For I think the first time ever, I really built a list that was kind of all in on plague drones, and I was shocked at how good they are. They were really throwing a lot of damage around, and they're very mobile, and they were just very surprising to me. I didn't expect I just didn't expect what they did. And So I'm going to probably be trying them out a bit more. Because one of the things that I've really noticed in the metagame right now is that there's a lot of -1 to hit buffs, and those hit your Blight Kings really hard, and they hit your Puscoil Blight Lords really hard. Because it turns off that, the D6 hits on a hit roll of 6. So by getting rid of that problem, it has a much lower impact on the punch of your plague drones. You're just going to hitting on 4 or 5 instead of, losing your huge hit bonuses. So I think that's a very powerful metagame move. I know other people have been doing that instead with Chaos Knights and the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. Not as big of a fan of that. I've been finding playing Nergle, I really want to use my command points for mobility. So I've been really building lists that ration my command points out a lot more. And, I used to be, running Blight Cyst and relying on a Harbinger of Decay and activating that every turn, and basically playing like first edition Age of Sigmar with, like 1 extra command point for the battalion that was usually used to re-roll a charge on my Blight Kings coming in with Gutrot Spume. But I've gotten to a place where it's like, I would much rather be in a position where I can just set a run roll to 6 when I need to. And that means you need command points hanging around. I think we're in a place in the metagame right now where mobility is very, very important. I think playing Nergle as well, I'm probably going to be spending a lot more of my contagion points strategically dropping a second Feculent Gnarl Maw somewhere on the board. Not for the contagion points, but for the run and charge when I need it. Because that gets really powerful. And if you can just nick that bubble of run and charge, I've had a unit of Blight Kings go, they've got their 4-inch move +1 to their run and charge, set their run roll to a 6. So now they are running 11 and then charging, and their average charge is 8. So their average threat range becomes 19 inches on a movement 4 unit. That's pretty good. So I think the strategic movement shenanigans, the number of games that I've won by slingshotting a unit of Blight Kings really far, it's so many games. Just like capturing an unexpected objective that my opponent thought was out of reach. And they just left me just enough room that I could like nick that Feculent Gnarl Maw bubble and get the run and charge. Even if it was like snake tailing part of the unit into the bubble. It's really powerful. I've been running a lot of Nergle without battalions. I've experimented with a lot of stuff. It's interesting to look at the tournament results that have been coming out, because Nergle has not been popping up nearly in the same quantity as it used to. Much fewer players running Nergle, and the average performance is going down. So I suspect that what's happening is a lot of the good players that were running Nergle have moved on to other armies, and the real devotees of Nergle that are maybe not as good of players, maybe more into the hobby aspect of it, and are going to GTs more for the fun and social aspect, rather than, gunning for top tables are, the ones that are showing up with Nergle. And so it's interesting. I'm kind of hoping that breaks. Maybe Nergle gets some endless spells. That would be kind of cool. Not holding my breath for that one though. But it's always possible. I think I've been running the Vermin Lord Corruptor a lot in my Nurgle armies lately, and there's a couple of interesting things that come out of that. Number one, he's a Nurgle Demon, so he gets an extra spell. That's very good. Dreaded Plague is a very, very good spell. Getting that off even once a game will basically win the game for you in some situations. It just cuts a unit in half. And when it's a big horde unit, like say, well, since we were just talking about Skaven, if you happen to hit a unit of 40 clan rats and now it's a unit of 20 clan rats, like that's a big difference. It's a huge impact. And the fact that he is a Nurgle Demon means that all of those abilities, and I'll say mainly Plague Drones, that trigger with having a Nurgle Demon hero nearby, that he's a Nurgle Demon hero that moves 12 inches, that can get into range of whatever you need to pretty easily. I was also for a while using the Sword of Judgment on him, and the thing that I found is that he's just hard to get into the range of a hero. So I've backed off on that idea. I think that might be more of a Skaven army trick. Using, a Corruptor with Sword of Judgment, and then also using a Deceiver and using Dreaded Skitter Leap to get him into your opponent's backfield and then assassinate some heroes. That seems to be a better way of going about that. At least for that particular use. Although I think even in like a Skaven list, Skaven has a lot of trouble fitting all of the stuff that you want into a 2,000 point list. You kind of have to pick a direction and go with it. And you still get a good balance of stuff, but it's hard to really go deep into one thing. So let's think. What else have I had going on? A lot of what I'm doing with my Skaven is trying to make really interesting looking centerpiece models. Having a lot more interest on the centerpiece models and the bigger models. And then that also kind of distracts from the sea of mediocrity that is inevitably all of your clan rats. So I can just kind of pull it over. My work in process base for my Screaming Belle is looking something like this. So the idea was to create a bridge with green slime underneath that required building up the base pretty considerably, and then I built it out a little bit as well so that the top had more surface to it, so I could do some more interesting things on there. Hopefully I don't get any complaints about like modeling for advantage, because if you look at the profile from the side, it will kind of prevent models from getting close to it, but I think just some conversation with your opponent that's like I don't care. Like, if it made the charge, we'll call it close enough, and we don't need to literally put the model that close. Like, it's okay. I'll even give you the edge of whatever it is where the base is, and you can even get more attacks in on it. And it's not hard to measure from where the base is. And frankly, a Screaming Belle is not going to get attacked very often. It's usually hanging out just behind a lot of clan rats that you're giving battle shock immunity to. And then it's -1 to hit in range. It's -1 to hit in close combat. It's got a 5-up ward save. Like, the thing's not going down. And it's not really getting touched. So, yeah, that's kind of, basically what's been going on with me. Trying to put some love into the bigger, more centerpiece models of my Skaven. I've still got a little bit of hobby work to do on my Nergle just to get all of my Blight Kings up to the level that I want them to be at. They're like 2/3 done or so. And that's really when I just get in the mood to paint a lot of green and yellow. I'll be working on those more. And I just don't have like a GT coming up really soon, so I'm not really motivated to work on those. I'd rather be working on getting my Skaven up to, a 2,000 points that I can field and play with fully painted. Because I really don't like playing with non-painted models anymore. I've got enough stuff painted in enough armies that I just don't care. I would rather play with stuff that's painted, and the stuff not being painted is motivation to get it painted so I can play with it. Other things in the news here. I do have a Khorne army. I am currently selling my Khorne army. It's most of it is the first wave already. The auctions on eBay were done. Second wave on eBay is up right now. There's gonna be probably 1 or 2 more waves of stuff going on eBay. I have to say, it's not in response to me thinking that the new Khorne book is bad. It's not really even in response to, if I want to play this army, now I have to go buy the altar and the endless spells and blah, 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 and buy a new book. It's that I probably haven't picked up and played the army in a year, at least. And probably closer to like 1.5 to 2 years. And if something is sitting on my shelf that long and I don't really have a good emotional attachment to it, I'm just going to get rid of it. So that's being divested and turned into Skaven models. So that's where I'm going there. And thanks to the Khorne book having just come out, just a piece of advice for everybody: if you have Khorne stuff you want to sell, right after the book drops is the time. And that goes for any army, really. Even probably now still Skaven stuff. After a book comes out for an army, people get excited and want to play it and have new things that they want to go purchase. And, it's a good time to throw it up on eBay. Stuff will definitely not only sell, but sell for higher prices. So, I've been getting some pretty decent numbers on my Khorne stuff so far, and that is going to go a long way toward, filling out the Skaven. All of my Stormcast is now gone. I did sell all of that on eBay, so I'm really going to be down to my Nurgle army, building Skaven. And I think after, all of the Khorne stuff that I'm selling, I should have everything I reasonably really want for Skaven. And, of course, I still have my Free Guild army, which is, I definitely am like holding on to that for, nostalgic sort of reasons, as well as just really hoping that that army gets like a book or better allegiance abilities, or some sort of mini release, something to push it over the edge. There was finally a GT where they went 5-0. So it's possible. I think it was in like Denmark. So maybe not that applicable to here, but it's promising. I think the army is missing some pretty key things that you need for it to be successful in 2nd edition Age of Sigmar. You know, it really needs to get the treatment that Beasts of Chaos got, bringing in Collegiate Arcane and Iron Weld Arsenal and all of that stuff back into the fold of free people, so that the faction is complete and makes sense again. So you have wizards, so you have artillery, and you don't have to make that ridiculous choice of like what 400 points of allies that you're inevitably going to take are you going to jam into the army. And some of the stuff is just really overpriced now. Especially with the new book for Stormcast. The Celestial Hurricanum is way overpriced now. That could easily go back down to 300 or lower, which I would love to see. And if it went to 280 and the wizards were still at 120, I would be pretty happy about it, because then we would be able to have 2 wizards in the army. Along with the Celestial Hurricanum, you get the +1 buff to the 2nd wizard from the Celestial Hurricanum. So now you're casting 2 spells, and you're getting +1 to cast. You have 2 unbinds available to you. The Battle Mage does have some pretty good spells. So, and being able to cast them at +1 would be really good. Plus endless spells now. Having access to endless spells, I think, would be a great boon to it too. But there's just not enough magic that you can throw around with Free Guild from your allies that's any good to really effectively run endless spells. And that army is always hurting for points big time. It's hard to get in everything you want to. So I think it's an army that still needs some points drops to make things good. I did a video a while ago on, you know, what Games Workshop could do without adding any new models to the faction. Like no new models, just adding war scrolls out of the builds you already have from the kits you have. And I really still stick by those things. And they've been doing those things with other model ranges, right? Like we got the unique Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon was Prince Vordry out of that kit. That's basically the same thing that I said to do with the General on Griffin, right? You have 3 builds, you only have 2 war scrolls for it. Just make a special character out of the 3rd one. You know, just like it used to be. He used to be Karl Franz. You can just make something else. So yeah, holding out hope on Free Guild. And it's a fun faction to bring out once in a while. You know, when we're doing like Path to Glory campaigns, I like to bring that out. Our local scene has a lot of newer players, so I don't want to run like Nergle at them, because Nurgle's not fun to play against. Free Guild is a lot more of a fun, interactive game, and it's not as good of a faction, so it gives the newer players a better chance to get some wins in. that they probably wouldn't get against Nergle. I don't know how Skaven would do in like Path to Glory or an escalation campaign. But yeah, that's about it for now, I think. Just kind of wanted to, update on what I've got going on, and I don't know, throw a video out there, let you guys know that I'm still alive. As I've mentioned before, I've been having a bunch of medical problems. I'm having a good day, so I thought I would utilize that and make a video for you guys. So, anywho, that's it for now, and I will see you all later.